Hello everyone. Today we shall look into the relationships and hierarchy within the Power Pivot of Excel. I hope the orders dataset is visible. Here it is in a normal range format. What I could do to convert into table is I press Ctrl plus T. Once I press Ctrl plus T, you could see that the whole data is selected, and we could create a table where you should check this My Table as headers. I'll click OK. Once you do this, your table will be converted to the respective table format, and you could provide any table name. Since the data is with respect to orders, I am providing the orders. Okay, this data set is of Northwind Traders data set. Hence I'll bring it to the Power Pivot, and further we could understand how to bring other tables. Now here we have the table which is formatted as table. You can click on this Power Pivot and click on Add to Data Model here. Okay, here in the tables option you'll see Add to Data Model. You'll click on that, and once you click on that, this table, it will be added to the data model. Now here we are able to see this orders data set within our data model. In order to get the other tables, what we could do is we can click on from other sources, and here within multiple list of sources, if you scroll down at the bottom, you could see this text file section. You could click on this Excel file, click on next. Here I could browse for the respective file which I want. Here I have the respective dimension tables files. I can click on each table, and I could import it. I'll select the categories, click open. Make sure that you click on this use first row as column headers and click on next. Now we are importing the file of categories into our data model. Click on finish. Once you import the data, you could see that 8 rows are transferred. Click on close. Here you could see that our category data is being updated. Okay, similarly from other sources, we'll click on this Excel file, bring the other dimension tables similar to the categories. Make sure that you click on the first row as column headers, you click on next, and you finish. The data will be imported. If at all you find such prompts where it is where the external data source can't be trusted, you could make sure that the data is correct, and then you could click on OK to trust. Please make sure that all the tables which we are importing, they must be formatted in table format, otherwise the Power Pivot wouldn't be able to recognize those sources. So hence in order to make sure that you import correctly, the data should be formatted in tabular format. Now similarly from the other sources, as I have shown you, I have brought all the tables like orders, categories, customers, employees, order details, products and shippers data into the Power Pivot model, and you could save the file. And if you want to go to Excel, you can click on this icon, Excel icon. Will be moving on to the Excel page. Here let us move on to the other sheet, and let us understand how to get the pivot table once our data tables, or you could say data model is connected. Click on insert. Here on the drop down of pivot table, you could see that from data model option is present. Click on that from data model. You can see that the first cell is selected in the existing worksheet. You can click OK. Once you click OK, here we could see that all the tables, multiple tables are present on the right side, and we could bring the necessary columns and check the data according to the pivot tables. Now let us get back to the pivot model, or you could say data model. Here if at all we need to create the relationships, let us go to the diagram view and understand how to create the relationships manually as well as using the feature. Once we click on this diagrammatic view, we'll be able to see the multiple dimensions table as well as the fact tables which are present, and then we'll create the relationship. Now you could see that all the tables are arranged in the singular row. What we'll do is we'll arrange the fact tables in the bottom, and we'll arrange the lookup tables on the top, so that we'll have an understanding where the relationships are being created. So we have these lookup tables, or you could say dimension tables, and we have orders and as well as orders details as a fact tables, or you could say where the factual data is present. Okay, and we have this products information, where again these are the dimensions, and we have the shippers table, which is again a dimension. I'll bring the shippers table here so that you could see it properly. Now here, with respect to the creation of relationship, let us understand. Here we have the order ID. The orders ID is from the orders table is related to the order details, so we can relate it to the order ID column within the order details. Here we could see that customer ID is related with the customer ID in the customers table, hence we can relate it with the customer ID column within the customers table. So this is the way where we find the common columns and just drag the respective column and drop it in the respective column. Here, if we need to create the relationship, go to design, click on create relationship. You can choose the respective table and the relationship which is required. For example, this is my orders table. I can relate it with the employees table using this employee ID. Here we can select the common column as employee ID. The relationship is active. I can click OK. Now as soon as I click OK, you'll be noticing that our relationship is being formed with respect to employee ID. Either you could drag and drop manually, or else you could create the relationship in this way using create relationship. Again, we can select the relationship, we can select the products table, we can select the orders table. Okay, the common column here, it must be product ID. Okay, here we do not have product ID. The product ID is related to order details table. Here we'll select the order details, and here we have the product ID in common. I'll click OK. So now this relationship is being active, where this order details is table is connected as many to one, and product is products table is the lookup table for the orders details table. Here similarly we can bring this shipper ID to the shipper ID within the orders table. And now we are left with the category ID. As you could see that okay, in if at all your relationship is not formed, you could try creating the relationship using this create relationship. You can click on this shippers table, and you could click on this orders table, select the shipper ID. Here we have the shipper ID, and you could click OK. Here we have this categories table. You could see that category ID within categories table and category ID within products table are relevant. So we could drag and drop the same columns so that one-to-many relationship is being formed. So we have this form of relationship which could be a Snowflake schema, and this is how this data set is related where with respect to the tables. And if at all you want to see in the data view, you can click on this data view and find the details. Now here we have something called as employee details, right? And suppose that we want to analyze the number of orders or the sum of freight amount based upon the city, country, and the employee name. So what we could do is we can create the hierarchy. Instead of bringing one after the other, we can create a hierarchy where we could see the details within the data. Okay, I'll show you. For example, I can go to this Excel. Okay, from employees, what I could do is I can bring in this country into the rows, city into the rows, as well as employee name, and from these orders I can bring this freight amount in order to summarize it. So here you could see that I have respective details, like with respect to the country, city, as well as the employee details on the left here, as you could see. Now if at all, rather than bringing one after the other into the rows, if I could create a hierarchy, I can bring one particular entity which could help us to see all the details in one entity. Okay, in order to make it possible, I'll just remove all these and let us create a hierarchy within the data model. Let us get back to the data model. Here in the employees table, here you could see an option which is called as create hierarchy. Click on that create hierarchy. Once you click on that create hierarchy, you'll be able to see that hierarchy 1, this will be created. You can double click on that. You can write any suitable name where you could understand. I'll write region as name, and then what you should do is, here you can select the country column and just drag it and leave it on the region table, region entity. Okay, once you do that, you'll be able to see that our country will be forming a hierarchy within the region. And similarly, you could select this city and drag it and bring it onto the region and then leave it. Then you'll be able to see that city will also be appended into the hierarchy. Similarly, you can click on this employee name, bring it onto the region, and then you could leave it, and then you'll be able to see that hierarchy will be formed based upon the country, city, and the employee name as required for us. We can again switch back to the workbook, and if you could notice here within the employees table, if I open here, you could see that region entity is present, hierarchy is present. You could select the region hierarchy and put it in rows. As you see this here, you could you see that hierarchy of country is present. You can click on this. You could see that city is present, and then employee details are there. You could click on individual buttons and open. If there are multiple values, you could right click. You could expand or collapse accordingly based upon the entire field or with respect to country, city, or employee name. If I like to collapse, I can right click and collapse the entire field. Right here, I could click on this collapse button, or you could select the first entity. You could click on collapse entire field. So based upon the entity you select, you can collapse or expand here in the pivot table. I hope this hierarchy is understandable. For example, if you want to disable the hierarchy within the settings of Excel, click on File, go to Options. Okay, once you click on Options, you'll be able to see this prompt. If it is Microsoft 365, you can go to this data options. Here you'll be able to see that in the data options, you'll be able to see that last option, which is disable automatic grouping of date time columns in pivot tables for the date time, in order to remove the hierarchy things. Okay, so that would help you to disable it. Apart from that, you could understand how to deal with disabling of large data model operations here within the data options. I hope this is understandable, and this is all for now. Thank you for watching, and we shall meet in the next video.